Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be reading through an article where a prominent UFO researcher states that he believes that there is a split between the military and the various intelligence agencies here in the US. So let's take a look at this and see what he has in store for us. Pentagon's UFO report exposes split in US Department of Defense, claims UFO investigator. Pentagon's looming report on UFO phenomena has exposed a rift between the U.S. military and the country's intelligence communities, a prominent UFO investigator has claimed. So I guess the military is supposed to be releasing a new report on June 25th or something, kind of documenting, I guess, the various research and stuff that they've been accumulating over the decades about UFOs. So that should be pretty interesting. And it is kind of interesting with all the stuff that's going on in the world, how all of this UFO stuff is kind of coming out now. But and if you think about it, like 2020 was so weird that the Pentagon basically said that there were like some sort of UFOs. Like they're not sure if they're some kind of drone or what, but there was some kind of unidentified aerial phenomenon, and the whole world was just basically kind of like, eh, we got other stuff to worry about. And interestingly, on another tangent, the Baha'i faith actually teaches that there are extraterrestrials, I should say. Say that three times fast. And that I've said this before in another video, but that every planet has its own creations. And I think you got to keep in mind that for those specific creations or creatures, they could be referencing elements that were created and not necessarily sentient beings, but the Baha'i faith does teach that there are other sentient creatures throughout the worlds. And no, I personally do not believe that extraterrestrials are aliens. So I believe that out of the entire infinite universe, that, if there was, sentient beings on some planet, it would not really surprise me. I don't think out of the enormity, the vastness of this great cosmos that we live in, with this little marble spinning around our sun, that we're the only beings out of the entire history of existence. The Pentagon is expected to reveal any day now what the U.S. Department of Defense (DoD) knows about UFOs, or in military jargon, unidentified aerial phenomena, compiled by the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. The report will present unclassified material relating to a string of recent high-profile UFO videos leaked to the internet. Although some pundits expect the report to gloss over the juiciest information, out of national security reasons, many are hoping it will vindicate more than 50 years of UFO research. America's interest in UFO phenomena is now at an all-time high, but it remains to be seen whether the Pentagon report satisfies some of the wildest expectations. And if you look in some various occurrences over the past few decades, I think on December 26th, I think it was the day after Christmas in the 80s, yeah, that Reichsman Forest incident or whatever, where it was like the U.S. base in the UK, and those guys saw some crazy stuff, and they experienced all kinds of weird things to the point where like their superiors asked them questions about it. It just seems like there's probably been some interesting cases over time, and I just don't find it that surprising that there's probably something going on. I mean, I think it could be rather arrogant and foolish to think that we know everything that is going on in the universe. Okay. And while reports of little green men and mysterious craft swarming U.S. Navy ships, that's what I was talking about before, have dominated the headlines, a former investigator with the British Military of Defense, MOD, has told Express there's another side to the story. Nick Pope, who investigated UFO phenomena for the British government in the 1990s, believes the Pentagon report has exposed a split of camps within the upper ranks of the U.S. military and intelligence agencies. If you're familiar with Nick Pope, you might have seen him on a variety of TV shows talking about when he worked for the Ministry of Defense in the UK. I believe he worked from 1985 until 2006. I think that's how long he worked there. So he's had a pretty well documented experience uh, investigating UFOs and whatnot. I forget exactly why he got into it. I think it was because there was a position opened up and something to do with UFOs, and he was rather skeptical of it, but he thought it'd be an interesting assignment, so he took it, and he kind of just fell in his lap. The split may be along the lines of how the narrative is being spun. Are we being visited by extraterrestrial aliens, or is it a matter of foreign intelligence services spying on the U.S.? Yeah, that's a good question. Like, is this some kind of sentient being using some kind of weird spacecraft, or is this some newly advanced military tech that we're just not aware of yet? It's a pretty cool picture. The Pentagon has been investigating reports of mysterious craft in U.S. airspace. That should be interesting to see what they actually state. Yeah, June 25th for the report. Mr. Pope said, "My best estimate is that the Director of National Intelligence, DNI, will adopt a similar strategy to the Department of Defense's approach to the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or ATIP, and I will try to spin this as being about next generation aerospace and weapon threats, mainly from aircraft, missiles, and drones. In particular, I predict a strong focus on the dangers posed by drones, drone swarms, and AI-controlled drone swarms. That said, my understanding is that there are different views in the US military and the intelligence community on the true nature of the phenomenon, and factions struggling for control of the narrative. Mr. Pope, who has been called the British Fox Mulder, has been closely following the situation for months now. I'm sure he's really happy to have this picture played prominently on this website. I mean, yeah, this is just the start of the video, but he just looks like he's just totally spaced out or he got hit in the head with a basketball. When former President Donald Trump signed a 1.62 trillion pound or 2.3 trillion COVID relief bill on December 27th last year, a 180-day countdown was started for the U.S. intelligence agencies to tell Congress what they know about UFOs. The stipulation was included in a section of the bill regarding the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021. Since then, Mr. Pope has heard of rumors of people with the Pentagon who have seriously considered an extraterrestrial origin of the reported UAPs. And remember, UAP stands for Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon. He said, the multiple ongoing leaks are one clue as to this infighting, but another clue is the fact that the DoD recently called in their own Inspector General to review the department's handling of UAP matters. This almost certainly reflects the fact that there are strong disagreements over all of this. And I really would not be surprised by this, in case it seems like a common theme throughout my videos. I'm usually not very surprised. But in this instance, I'm really not that surprised because a lot of different departments or different agencies, they squabble and they fight. I think that was like something that happened with like 9/11 in the U.S. Like supposedly some of the different agencies or something like didn't share information or whatever. But it is seems like it would be not unheard of for different agencies or factions within the government or any institution would be kind of competing with one another. So I can see why he would probably say that. I used to work at a university for several years, and even at a university, there was a lot of competition among the different departments. I mean, granted, a lot of the departments as well try to um, structure themselves in a way that was beneficial to the university as a whole, and they tried to come together to perhaps find common ground and things that they could do to benefit one another. But at the end of the day, they were competing. And if it got to the point where there was a recession or the economy was stagnating and funds were scarce, they would naturally try to shore up some funds for themselves at the expense of the other sections. The Fermi paradox, you might have heard about this regarding why haven't we seen UFOs, is an attempt to answer perhaps the ultimate question, where are extraterrestrials? Or I should say extraterrestrials as opposed to UFOs. Earth's cosmic neighborhood is part of a young planetary system compared with the rest of the universe. Because interstellar travel should theoretically, this is botched, because interstellar travel should theoretically be easy to achieve, the theory states Earth should have been visited by aliens long ago. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe we were visited. There are four arguments exploring the paradox. Aliens never came because of a physical difficulty that makes space travel unfeasible. I mean, maybe with like our current technology, like if you're just like blasting off from here to like Mars or something with our current, primitive. Didn't Michio Kaku say that like our planetary advancement level is like a 0 or something? We're not even on like the advancement stage. And if there are extraterrestrials, they would be like a 3 or at least a 2 or something crazy. And I think when you're at a 1, you have the ability to effectively utilize your planet's resources in a rather efficient manner, but our current state of using matter to burn it is very primitive in the grand scheme of things. So if you got some civilization that's been around for a million, 10 million, 20 million years, yeah, you tell me they can figure out how to, zoom around the universe somehow? I mean, look how much advancement we've had in 100 years. So who knows what's going on? Aliens simply decided to never visit Earth. Like, why would they decide not to visit Earth? Advanced civilizations arose too recently for aliens to visit our planet. Okay. Aliens have visited Earth in the past, but were unobserved. Yeah, who knows? Do you believe aliens, UFOs, are visiting our planet? Express. I think this is the footage from that. Yeah, this is from the Navy fighter jets. A number of UFO videos have been leaked to the internet in recent months. Image Department of Defense. Oh, check this out. I might have to do another video on this. This looks, I did that video about those pyramids that were discovered in Antarctica. Now they're saying an alien base was discovered off the coast of Antarctica, UFO hunters claim. That'd be pretty interesting. Isn't there something weird going on with Antarctica too, that like nobody's there except for like one research group or something, like from like a couple maybe international governments are there. And if you want to go there, you have to charter some kind of special permission or some special travel. And I think no government uses the airspace of Antarctica, which I'm not too sure why. I just heard that in passing. That could be an interesting examination of that. Earlier last month, the DoD's Office of Inspector General announced an evaluation to determine what steps the DoD has taken in regards to UAPs. According to a redacted letter penned on May 3rd, the evaluation involved the offices of the Secretary of Defense, defense agencies, and military criminal investigative organizations, among others. Wonder why they had to have them involved. That's interesting. So what happens next? According to Mr. Pope, the Pentagon has until June 25th to present the UFO report to the Senate Intelligence Committee. However, he expects there to be a delay, with it arriving later rather than sooner than intended. He said, I'd rather a delay than a rushed report, as we need a thorough assessment of the various U.S. Navy UFO encounters and of the phenomenon more generally. This will inevitably take time, given the challenges of extracting information from the notoriously fragmented U.S. intelligence community in a situation where information is likely to be highly classified and compartmentalized. There is also no guarantee that there is no guarantee the report will shed any new light on the UFO phenomenon beyond what has already been leaked to the internet. Mr. Pope added, because the unclassified report can and inevitably will have a classified annex, I'm sad to say that the media and the public may not learn any profound new truths about UFOs, whatever the U.S. intelligence community privately concludes about the situation. There's a lot of confusion and uncertainty about the upcoming report. Yeah, this is a hell of a story here. But UFO sighting near the ISS is 100% proof of aliens claim. Yeah, there's some interesting videos on YouTube from several years ago. I'm not sure if they're still on there, but I remember seeing them. It showed I think it was footage from the space station. It's like black and white footage of all these little look like crafts floating around, and they say it's like ice or space dust, but I guess there was like this tethered cable that was over a mile long or whatever, so they used that cable as a source of reference for measuring. And it was they some people were trying to determine that that was actually a good reference to use because it could illustrate that those objects were not ice or pieces of dust because of their trajectory and the way they were moving. Well, I thought this was pretty interesting. Mr. Pope, he's a pretty well-credentialed individual. He's rather well known, I think, in discussing a variety of what's breaking news. Yeah, I'm not concerned about that. Sorry about that. And so we'll see what comes to be. He's probably right. You're probably not going to find out anything too crazy, but who knows? I mean, this has been like a slow burn over many years to, I think, slowly acclimate people to the idea of extraterrestrials. So, what do you think about extraterrestrials? Do you think it's possible that in the vastness of the universe that there are other sentient beings besides us? Or do you think that we are the only sentient beings in the entire history of all of civilization and existence and we're it? Let me know down in the comments below, and thanks for checking my channel out. And until next time, take care. I really need to figure out a way to do this quicker so that way I can end everything on a more, snappy exit, but I'll get there someday.